folks, welcome back to another episode of Why It's There. This is a series of videos where I basically take one shelf in my collection and I explain why each of the different titles are there and where they might be sitting in my collection. Are they on the way out? Are they permanent residents? That kind of stuff. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start on this side since my body is going to be covering most of this shelving area for most of the things. So we'll start over here and work over this way. So starting right here, first of all, 878 Vikings. This is one of my favorite Viking games because it is one of those historically accurate, or more accurate. It's less about the romantic view of Vikings and more about the actual history and what actually happened. So it's about the invasions of England by the Vikings. Academy Games does a great job with their historical series. This is the Birth of Europe. They also have Birth of the U.S. or Birth of America or something to that effect series of games out. All of them are great, and all of them use basically the same kinds of mechanics. So really great game. This is a permanent resident. Will not be leaving. CUPHEAD, the fast dice rolling game. I will be absolutely honest to you right now. I wanted to pick this up because my kids were super into this game way back in the day. Not too long ago, but they were super into it, so I wanted to pick it up for them. Honestly, the only reason this game is still in my collection is because they like it so much. It makes me stressed. Just thinking about playing this game stresses me out. So I don't like this game. My kids love it though, so they like to play it. And that's why it's still here. Stone Age, Rio Grande Games, one of my favorite Euro style games. Worker placement, dice rolling, trying to achieve different goals and stuff like that, build up in different huts and all that kind of thing. Really, really fun game. One of my favorite games of all time. So this one's also permanent resident, not going anywhere. God of War, the card game. I wasn't a fan of the game, and I haven't played the game, the video game, but I really enjoy the theme of this one, and the artwork in this game is phenomenal. I also like some of the really kind of fresh mechanisms that it employs of how you have to flip over some of the different cards to continue the storyline of the game. So I really enjoyed this one a lot, and so I had to keep it with me. This is probably going to stay in my collection for quite some time. The Century Spice Road was all the rave back in the day, but right after they came out with a Century Golem Edition, which is basically, these are the same Spice Road games that you probably know about, but this is the Golem Edition, where it basically just changes the artwork and it changes the theme of the game. So it's not the dry vanilla trading in the desert theme that Century Spice Road had. It just has that cool golem artwork, and you're powering all of these golems and with the different gems that you use and all that kind of thing. I love this theme and I love this version of the game. That's why I bought all three of them. Century Golem Edition is the first, and then you have the Eastern Mountains and the Endless World, and they all kind of build upon the last one. So you can actually, I've never done this, but you can actually play all three of these games at the same time. And of course, the experience changes and all that, but you can pick and choose what you want. You can also play each of them standalone as well. So this is a great little series, and I love the Golem edition of Century. Not so much the Spice Road edition, but it's really the same game, just different flavors, different looks to them, different graphic design, but I like this a lot better. So I bought and am going to keep all three of these. Johnny Pack. Fistful of Meeples. This is from Final Frontier Games. This is a really cool game that uses the Mancala mechanism of taking things from one thing and moving them clockwise around, and you can drop them off and they do certain things, and wherever they land they have different jobs that they can do. On this one, has a really cool Wild West theme to it as well. Really cool, fun game. Great components, great artwork as well. So this one's going to stay in me. There are very few Western-themed games that I enjoy out there that usually aren't these big, epic-ish Euro games. So finding a small one that really kind of scratches that itch. So I'm going to keep it. SPYFALL. This one is the regular edition. I also have DC SPYFALL over there. And Spyfall is just a really cool game where it's a social deduction game where everybody has a location in their hand except for those of them that are the actual spy. And the spy has to figure out where the group is located. What location are they at? And they can only do that by deducing the information, by deducing that fact from the information that's given in the questions and the answers that you have to ask around. So if I'm going first, I ask, person B a question, and then it's person B's question to ask, person B's turn to ask a question, and then they can ask anybody else at the table any question about the location where they're at, except for me, because I asked them the question. Then they ask somebody else, and so this question and answer time is going around, and you only have a certain amount of time for the spies to figure out where they are. But you can only do it by deducing the information from the question and answers. I really enjoy this game. It plays in 8 minutes. So you can play multiple sessions. Love it. Valbara, talked about this one a lot. This is a really neat set collection game where you're going to be collecting sets of lands using different kinds of villagers from your deck that will give you certain powers and certain abilities at certain times that also determine when you can pick your land from the open drafting tableau that's out there. Great artwork, and this has been a hit every single time I pulled it out so far. So this one's staying in my collection for the very near future as well. Seven Wonders. I think this is one of the best civilization building card games that's out there. Definitely has achieved classic status in my opinion, and I probably won't ever get rid of this. It has phenomenal artwork as well, so I'm just a sucker for art games that have great artwork, and this is definitely one of them. I really think that this is just a great game. I've taught it to people that are brand new to gaming. I've taught it to people in a number of different with a number of different backgrounds and intellectual capabilities, and more often than not, they pick up on it pretty quick. So the scoring can get a little wonky, and that's usually the time that I have to spend the most time explaining. But other than that, how you play the game is just fun, and people pick up on it pretty fast. BATTLELORE. This is the second edition of BATTLELORE, where you actually can set up the board on your own and how it changes and so forth. It uses the same commands and colors system where you have 3 fields of battle, and then you play a card, and you can order units in a certain battle and all that kind of stuff. So it still has this, but this is more the fantastical setting. Memoir 44 is World War II. The Great War is World War I. Battle Cry is Civil War. This is the fantasy version. This is the second version where they went really kind of high fantasy and not historical fantasy mix, which is what the first edition of BATTLELORE was. But this is a great one. I got this. This is a used copy, as a matter of fact. So it's even partially painted, and that's kind of a pain because they didn't do a very good job. But so I'm going to have to fix that probably at some point in the future. Ultre. Or Ultre. This one is in my collection because I picked this up at Gen Con last year, and Vincent Dutrait's artwork is just amazing, and I'm a sucker for it. So I saw it, I was like, yes, I want it. Haven't been able to play it yet. I actually did buy the expansion that was being released at Origins for it, so I have this and I have the expansion. I just haven't played it yet. JT's bugging me to get this to the table as well, so hopefully it will get there soon. But this is looks like it's going to be a great game. The Great War, Richard Borg, same command and color system as Memoir 44 and BATTLELORE, but this is World War I. This does include the expansion, the tank expansion. I have it put in there that I use the box for some decoration on my wall. But a great use of the commands and color system for World War I trench warfare, so that's pretty cool. Origins, First Builders is a neat game, but man, is it a brain burner. We have played this one a couple times. I haven't really wrapped my head around it. I really like the components of it, though, and I do like the game. It's just one of those things where how much do I like it? I haven't really fallen there yet, but really enjoyed this game a lot. San Francisco also picked this up at Gen Con last year. Have not been able to play it yet, and that's why it's still on my shelf, because I just don't know if I like it or not because I haven't played it. But it really reaches out to me. I used to live in the San Francisco Bay Area, so there's a little bit of a connection there as well. Loot is a plundering pirate card game. This is a very simple game. It's by, can't remember, Gamewright? Yeah, Gamewright Games. And they are renowned for their simple games that don't take a whole lot of time to teach, but they are usually pretty fun, and they all employ kind of simple mechanisms. So this is one that I've kept around just for that. Shogun, Dirk Hen. This is the Japanese version of Wallenstein, and this, I believe, is the better version, in my opinion. I know a lot of people love Wallenstein, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I like this one better because I like the Japanese theme better. Period. That's the end of that discussion. I don't really think that one is necessarily better than the other. I just enjoy this one a lot more because of the aesthetic and the historical flavor that it has to it. Raise Your Goblets, another kind of hidden role game. There's a lot of social deduction in it where you're trying to figure out whose goblet is poisoned and which one isn't, and you have goals to try to take out certain people that are sitting around the table in the game because you're all kind of coming together and you're from different factions, and you're trying to protect some people, you're trying to take out other people. So there's a really neat little poison cup mechanism going on here. I've enjoyed this one a lot, so it's going to stick around. Raids by Yellow, Brett J. Gilbert and Matthew Dunstan. A great Viking-themed game where you're basically traveling around the board, but it has that mechanism where you can't ever go counterclockwise. You have to continue going clockwise around the board, and you're just trying to score as many points as you possibly can, landing in the certain spots and so forth. So a great game, great artwork, a great looking game, and great components. So really enjoyed that one from way back in the day. Ninja Squad is from Backspindle Games. I've talked about them a lot before. Kodinka, what's the other one's name? Morn Quest. These are all games that are from Backspindle. Clax. I talked about that one in the last one. From Backspindle Games. They have a great little thing going on. Ninja Squad is a neat little game where you're trying to travel into, you're being sent into a compound to take somebody out, and then you have to get back out again. That's one of the ways that you can play it. Really enjoyed this game. Has a neat little chibi artwork. I'm usually not a fan of chibi artwork, but it kind of works with this one, so I gave it a pass there. Smash Up is one of those games that you play it to begin with, and then you just start accumulating stuff because you can always add more factions to Smash Up. Smash Up is where you take two different factions and smash them together to make your unified faction for the game. And then that also gives you two kind of general special abilities or groups of special abilities that your people can do that nobody else can do. And you're just supposed to you're racing to get a certain number of points, but the way you get points is by controlling certain bases that are out on the table. And how many points you score from controlling a base depends upon how many people are there, how many of your people are there compared to everybody else's. It's a little mathy when you start adding everything up, but it's a really fun game. And all of the different factions kind of meld together to make a lot of cool abilities that really kind of spurs on the game. So that one's going to stay in my collection. I've got a Marvel expansion that's still in cellophane over there. I haven't even opened it up yet, but I'm going to be getting that to the table here pretty soon as well. So that is, I believe this is episode 6 of Why It's There, and that's why all of this is here. So thanks for joining me. I certainly appreciate it. If you liked it, please consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons below, and we'll hope to see you guys and gals right here on the flip side. Take care.